Well, welcome everybody to the Friday demo. Thanks for joining me on this somewhat different demo tonight. And we've got a bunch of people already over here in the audience. Novala is here. Lynn, hey Lynn. Novala. Carla is here. Susan is here. Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me. So what we're going to do tonight is something a little different. I normally don't do a lot of crafty types of paint pouring things, but we're going to do a crafty type of thing tonight. I'm going to be pouring on some Christmas ornaments, both the round ball ornaments and some flat like cutout shapes. So it's going to be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I've done several of these before. I've done these with some of my friends and their kids, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to talk about the mixture. I'm going to talk about the process. You get some kind of interesting ornaments. I don't think they're like mind-blowingly awesome, but they're really fun to do, and they're pretty cool looking. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining me. And let's jump right into it. I've got some ornaments ready to go over here. I've got some glass bulbs as well as some plastic bulbs. But let me show you some of the ones I've already done. You can get a kind of a sense of what we're going to be doing. So let me jump over to my other camera here. Let's see. Let me see, just one second. Okay, let me jump over there. All right, here we go. So this is my top view camera. But so here is a couple of the bulbs. This is a green and gold and red, and it's kind of a cool one. Just one second. I've got to adjust something. Looks a little dark. So, okay. So this is one bulb. Here is another one. This is like a kind of a green and white, and there's some gold in there. So it's kind of a fun one. This one is also a green one, like just green and gold in this one. And the mixture I use is it ends up kind of shiny, which is kind of nice. So you don't really have to put a top coat on these if you don't want to. I'll talk about top coats in a second. I actually haven't even tried top coating these, but we'll talk about that. Here is another one. This is kind of a fun, this is one of my favorites. It's a metallic white and gold and silver one. So that's kind of a fun one. So I'll talk about kind of the issues with pouring on glass and plastic ornaments. I've seen some amazing ornaments using different type of techniques. I kind of stick with just a very simple technique for these. Here is another one. This is kind of like it was a gold and red violet color. This is kind of a very pretty one. So I like this. And here's another one. This is kind of a candy cane, like a red and white. And there's a little bit of gold in there too. So it's kind of a fun one. I like that we got some interesting, like kind of a ring pour-esque looking lines in this one. So that is kind of a cool one. And so that is we're gonna make two different types of ornaments. Those are the round bulbs, but then we can also do some flat shapes. And these are, let me show you what these are. These are poured, and we can do a little bit more interesting pours on things that are flat, obviously, because the paint doesn't roll off of them as easily. So you can buy these really cool acrylic shapes, and you can get these on Amazon. I got like a set of these on Amazon. I think there were, about 20 pieces. There's different shapes, and they were about $10 or so. So there's a couple different round shapes. There's like a tree. There's a star shape and like and kind of a cool snowflake shape. So there's a bunch of cool ones. And these are awesome because you don't have to prep them at all. There's a plastic coating on each side, like a plastic film that you can just peel off. And what I like to do with these is I'll put like a tape tab on one side, kind of like this. And then I have something to grab onto. So you could do a dip pour. Well, we'll do some dips and we'll pour on top. You could also, once that's dry, you could pour on the other side too. But you get some interesting effects if you just pour on one side This one got all messed up. So that's a bad example. But let me show you another one. You get some interesting designs on the opposite side as well. So that one, this was like a pour actually, like a flip cup. Here is a snowflake one, and the back side is a little, not quite as interesting, but you could do both sides if you wanted to. And here are a couple different ones. This was also a dip, and this was dipped into just a bunch of random runoff paints from the bulbs. So you can do that as well. So that is kind of like a fun one. Here's another dip from some runoff stuff. So there's a bunch of different cool things you can do. And I wanted to do this because we're getting to that holiday time. This is just a really fun technique if you wanted to do this with friends or family or something like that. If you've got kids or friends' kids or grandkids, it's all kinds of, this is a pretty fun, easy technique to do. This one is maybe hard to see, but silver, and it's very shiny, silver and white and gold. So they're very fun to do, and we'll do a whole bunch of them right now. So let me move some of these out of the way. And let's see, I've got these ready to go. And I'll show you how to prep these too. So I got a bunch of stuff here. I'll just scooch these out of the way and move my bulbs out of the way a little bit. And okay, so we'll work on these after we do some of the bulbs. Then we can use some of the runoff paint and do some pours on these. So set those aside for the moment. And I've got to get some of these out of here. So I've got some room. Just one second. I'll take these away. Okay. So let me show you. I've got my setup here. It's it's totally out of focus. But I have my other camera. But let me show you the colors we'll be using first. So I've mixed up some silver. This is a metallic white, one of my favorites. I'll show you the exact brands. Here's my favorite red, Pyro Red. This is a gorgeous green, which I absolutely love. It's from Artist Loft. It's a metallic green called Leaf Green. So let me scooch these up here. And then I got two more. I've got like a metallic blue, which is a really pretty color, and some gold, of course. I got to have some gold. So let me show you the tubes. So most of these are Artist Loft. This is Artist Loft metallic white, Liquitex Pyrrole red, the Artist Loft metallic leaf green, which is, I just love this green. I think it's this and a Decor green are my favorite two greens I've ever used. Artist Loft silver, Artist Loft metallic blue, and I just got some Liquitex gold. But you could use, here's the metallic blue and the silver, and then Liquitex gold, but you could use Artist Loft gold as well, or any colors actually, if you wanted to. And what we're going to mix this stuff with, I'm not going to mix this with Floetrol. I'm going to mix this with the Artist Loft pouring medium. And I'm using this stuff because it's a very sticky kind of pouring medium, and it sticks to the glass and plastic bulbs better than the Floetrol, because you can make kind of a thicker mixture, and also it dries with more of a shiny finish. So you don't really have to do anything to your paints once they dry, because they'll have a kind of a shiny sheen to them. But it's a fairly inexpensive pouring medium, and the recipe I use, the formula, is 2 parts of the Artist Loft pouring medium to 1 part paint. And then some colors will need some water, some colors don't. But I like to mix this up rather thickly, and I'll show you the consistency here in 1 second. So let me move some of this now out of the way. And I'll get my setup ready. And then what we're going to use to layer our cups, most of these will be, I'm are going to be there. You don't need a lot of paint for these. So I'm using these very small I think these are a 3-ounce cup, but I'm only filling them up maybe halfway, if that. So maybe an ounce to an ounce and a half of paint to cover our bulbs. And then similar with our small ornaments. So I like these little small paper cups, work great. So let me show you the consistency here. Let me flip to my side view camera. And let me grab one of the colors. Which one would be easiest to show? Maybe the red I'll try. So let's see here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to move my camera. So here is the consistency. So it's much thicker. Well, not much thicker, but it makes kind of that mound in a mound or mound on a mound type of thing. Hopefully you can see that okay. But I like to keep it on the thicker side, just because so it can kind of grab onto the bulbs and it won't all slide right off. And so that is the red. Hopefully that is coming up. I'll maybe show you another color here. Let me show you the green. So here is the green. Oops, sorry about that. So here's the green. So maybe that's better to see. Like it definitely makes that mound on a mound. And for the green, I had to add a little bit of water, but not a ton. So I like to get that kind of like a thicker mixture. All right, so let me move my camera back up here like this. And so I'm going to probably keep it. Let's see, let me show you how I prep the my ornaments first. So I know I'm flying all over the place with my cameras, but this will be the last little bit. So here is this is one of the glass ornaments, and you can use glass, you could use plastic. They both work really well. This is and you can get them in different sizes. So this is like a smaller glass one. This is a larger plastic one or acrylic one. And I'll show you how I prep these. And first of all, what I like to do with the glass and even the acrylic, it's probably not a bad idea. There can be some like a very fine, like oily surface on these bulbs I found. So what I'd like to do is take one of these little alcohol wipes. You can get these at any pharmacy store or grocery store, and just give this a little wipe down with the alcohol wipe, or you could use like a cotton ball or tissue or whatever with alcohol. Just a really simple, just a quick wipe down, just to get any that oily substance off of there. I don't know what it is, but I do know the next step. I tape the end here, but the tape wasn't sticking. So that let me know that there was some kind of something on here. So I just wiped it down quick with the alcohol, and that took care of the problem. So I've got my bulb ready to go. Now I'm going to take some tape, just like a piece of scotch or just a piece of, just white tape. And I don't want to go all the way down to the bottom of the little stem here where the hook goes, but maybe about halfway down, and then I'll just put the tape on it. And the tape sticks really nicely now that I kind of gave it that little wipe with alcohol. And this is just regular old masking tape. And then I'll take my little skewer. I love to use these skewers. They work great. You could cut them down too. If they're too long for you, just cut them. I just use them straight out of the package. I stick my skewer in the bulb, and then I just press my tape down. And now I have my bulb on my skewer, and it just helps to keep the bulbs kind of centered instead of like flopping around on the skewer without any tape. And also sometimes, as we'll be pouring on top of these, there might be a little spot that doesn't get covered, and you can kind of pick the bulb off of your little work surface and tilt it or touch it up. And having the tape on there really, really helps. So let me show you what I have here. This is just a hunk of foam. It's about an inch thick or so. And I get pieces of foam like this at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's just a piece of styrofoam insulation. It's about $5, but it comes in a pretty big sheet. So I just sliced off a section, and it works great for stuff like this. And I use like foam for all kinds of different things. And let me show you the back here. I've also put some push pins in on the small little corners right down here. And there's a couple in the center. And I put push pins in there just to keep it elevated off of the work surface, because there'll be a lot of paint that's flying around, and we'll get puddles of paint. And if our big hunk of foam is in a big puddle of paint, it can get really messy. So I like to just keep it elevated a little bit off of the work surface. And you can just poke holes with your skewers, just like that. And then I am going to pour right here. And let's see, I'm going to move my top camera, but I'll use my side camera, I think, because that will be a little easier for you to see. So let's see here. I'm going to, before I do that, how am I going to do this? Let me scooch over to my side camera, and I need to adjust that down again. Sorry for all the adjustments. And I'll zoom in a little bit. Cool. So there is our bulb ready to pour. But let's go over and check out the layering of the cup first with the paints. So let me go back over here. So here is just one of my little 3-ounce cups. And now you can just let your imagination go crazy. I'm going to zoom out, I think, a little, just so it's a little easier to see. There we go. And by the way, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments and I will answer them as we go along. So let's do some Christmassy colors. Now we can do any colors you want, of course. And I'm going to just throw a bunch of stuff in here and we'll see what happens. So I generally, when I'm doing this, I keep it maybe 2 or 3 colors, whatever you want to do. But I really like that kind of green and red one. So let's try one of those again. And maybe I'll throw in a little bit of white as well. So I'm going to put in a little bit of green. And maybe then I'll put a little gold in. So you can kind of keep the red and the green separated a little bit. There's a little bit of red. And it doesn't take a ton of paint to cover these things. There's a little white. Maybe a little more green. And that should be it. I'll put a little more gold in just for the heck of it. Okay, so let me flip over now and let's see what happens. So here is my cup, and I like to just kind of spiral it on there. Just pour it on and kind of just spiral it around. Oops. And then so I had about this much paint in there, so about less than half of the cup. So it really doesn't take a ton, and I still have some in the cup that I didn't use. So there it goes. It just kind of flows down around the whole bulb, and then I'll turn it for you. You can see kind of what it's doing. And it takes just a couple seconds for it to get all the way under, but it does run usually all the way down to the tape line there. And I'm going to just wipe this down a little bit. So I'm going to lift it out of there. Let's just take a look. So I did get the entire thing. It covered the whole thing. That looks pretty cool. And if you have like a weird spot like this, I kind of like this gold. There's a lot of layers underneath it. But if you didn't like it, you could always pour over it again, and it will, cover that again. So let me move this one. So that one is kind of interesting. Crazy colors. I'm not super thrilled with what it's doing, and it will continue to run for a little while. I'm going to try it again here. Just pour another little amount on. And you can choose to do that or not. It depends on, the results you're getting. But now this should, like the first layer will act kind of like a slicker surface, and then the second layer will kind of run over it a little easier. If you want to, kind of redo your bulbs. So sometimes you never quite know what's going to happen. But this one I think I like a lot. I'm going to just wipe the stick a little bit. So yeah, that one turned out kind of cool. So we have more green, and it did some interesting things. So I'm going to just move that to another hole over here, and I will grab another bulb. Now there's another thing you could do if you don't want all the stuff running down your sticks. I'll show you another thing you could do. You could take one of your little cups and carefully push it up through your skewer, kind of like this, and then this will kind of catch a lot of the paint if you wanted to keep it for some reason. So there we go. Why is that so low? Let me adjust my camera again. Whoops. So there's the cup that'll catch some of the paint. So here we go. Oops. All right. So let's see. So let's make a something with a blue, because I wanted to do a very light colored one. So I mixed up this blue, and we flip over to the top camera again. And so here's a bunch of our like puddle that we have of the first ornament. So I'm going to try something with the blue. I wanted to do like a white, silver, and blue, kind of like a icicle look or something. So I'll put a little of the white in, and some silver. And I like using the metallics, of course. I love metallics. One thing with the metallics and mixing it with the Artist Loft pouring medium, you really have to stir the metallics quite a bit to get them blended into the pouring medium pretty well. So, but they blend in nicely. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to do that one layer of blue, and let's pour this on there. And flip back to the side camera. There we go. And let's try this one. Now I've tried adding silicone to the paints, and you can kind of get some cells that pop up with silicone, but they all run down and the cells really is stored a lot. So I don't love the cells too much. I've seen people try with blooms, and I mean, that looks really cool if you can make it work. But it's a little too much work for me for the ornaments. So I like to keep it more fun and easy. So this one is kind of cool. So that, again, that's gonna I'll hold it up here. It's moving around the base. So it just takes a second. You could always help it along by kind of tilting the bulb, and it'll kind of help it run down there. Kind of like that. But it'll make its way down there. This one is kind of nice. I like this one. It looks like a gigantic lollipop or something. But that was kind of cool. So, and these will change a little bit as they continue to pour off. Some of the paint will continue to kind of slide down the bulb. But hopefully, because of the thicker mixture, it won't change the design a whole lot. Okay, so let's see here. I thought I saw a question. Novala asked, Have I ever poured inside the bulbs? I have tried pouring in the bulbs, and I don't like the results because you just get you don't get any kind of design. It's just a bunch of flat like shapes of color. So it didn't work that great pouring inside the bulb. Although I have a friend who is an acrylic or an alcohol ink artist, and she pours inside the bulbs with alcohol ink, and that turns out amazing. So alcohol ink is really cool to use inside the bulbs. So maybe, but with acrylics outside, alcohol ink inside, because I did not like the results pouring inside. Plus, all the paint, you have to keep it upside down. All the paint kind of leaks out, and you just don't kind of end up with a messy looking, muddled, color mixture. So, but on the outside, we can kind of retain a lot of the interesting lines and, ring pour designs and things like that. So let's see here. I'm going to move this down a tiny bit. Let's do another one. So I'm going to go over and I'll mix up another cup. Another thing you could do, on my foam core here, I forgot to mention, I put some freezer paper on there with the shiny side up. So when these puddles of paint dry, you can like peel them right off. They don't peel off the foam too well, but they peel off great on the freezer paper. And so I've got like little bits of paint left in these cups. So you can just tilt them over on the freezer paper, kind of like that. And we'll let it kind of drain out of there. And we could use it for like dipping or other ornaments. So let's see. So I've got some gold and red. Let's try a white, silver, and gold one. I love those three colors together. So there's a little gold. I'll put a little white, a little silver, and back to gold, a little more white. So you can get as complex or simple as with your color schemes as you want. I need some more gold. I can never have enough. Cool. All right. So this is going to be a fun one, I hope. So let's go back to side view here and pour this one on. And I like to just twirl it around a little bit. And we could also try a flip cup. I've tried those before, just flipping a cup of paint on top, then pulling it off. You can sometimes get some interesting results that way. So we'll try one out and see what happens. So there is a interesting one. I've got a lot of gold in this one, but it's kind of cool. So, and this one is, let's see here. That one might need a little help, you see, right here. So you can, if it's not going all the way down, you can kind of give it a little hand by kind of rotating it, kind of directing the paint a little bit. I think it'll eventually get there. But if it doesn't, you could kind of pull some down with your finger, or you could also hold it like this and give it a little help. So something like that. So that's kind of a fun one. I like the silver and gold together. Okay. So here's our, oh, excuse me. Here's another one of our glass ornaments. I'm not going to get a drink real quick. Sorry about that. I had a lump in my throat. I'm getting emotional making all these ornaments. So let's do a, Novala had a great idea and I love it. I'm going to do it on the big bulb, I think. And Novala wants to see silver gold and the green, the emerald color. I think that would be amazing. So let's give it a shot. So let me flip back over here and get another little cup. Let me pour that one over there. So gold, silver, and green. I'll put a little bit of the, well, I'll go with green first. And gold. And some of the silver. So a couple little layers of that. A little more silver. Cool. So I'm going to do another kind of like a ring pour one, and then we'll do we'll try like a flip cup on the glass ornament. So let's give it a shot here. Oops. Sorry, I better flip the camera. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, here we go. That is an interesting one. I'm liking it. I might need a little more paint actually in this one. So I'm going to put a little more in my cup. And then just do maybe another one over the top. Okay, let me try this one again. Just a little more. I want a little more green in this one. Cool. It's very fun to watch the paint just kind of slide around on the bulbs. So let me turn this one around. This one is cool. So the green is kind of, there's a lot of green, but subtle orange or subtle gold, subtle silver. I kind of like that. So you could, of course, make it more, add more silver or gold to, to get more predominant colors. So that was kind of fun. Okay, so let me move this one out of the way. These things get kind of slippery with all the paint. And we've got it, it's covering the bottom. So that one turned out nice. I like that one a lot. Maybe it's, there we go. Yeah, it's a fun one. I love that green color. That metallic leaf green is amazing. So let me move that one, and then we'll get our final glass one. And this one, we'll try a flip cup type of a thing and see what happens. Because you can always pour over it if we don't like it. So let me go back to the top view. I need to wipe my hands a little more. Okay. So this one, let's try. Let's see. We're gonna do I want to do something with maybe just the red and gold. That'd be kind of fun. Then maybe just a touch of white, perhaps. And a little more of the gold. Then a little more red. Okay. So this one, what I'm going to do is I'll take this out of the its little hole, and I'm going to just tip it on top of the cup. We'll flip the whole thing over. And I'll stick it back in the hole. And let me flip over to the side camera. So it's got like a little hat going on, and something fell. So we'll pull that off and let's see what happens here. Ready? Here we go. Whoa, we got a lot of red. We got a lot of red. So that one is not ideal. And we got a big bare spot. So that one didn't work too well as far as the flip cup goes. So we'll just add a little more paint and do more of a ring pour type of thing. So I'm just adding a little bit of the red, the gold, a little more white. And let's see. There we go. So if it doesn't work, you can always just try it again. And so here we go. That's kind of a fun one. I'll turn it around for you. Kind of got like a candy cane thing going on, which I kind of like, with gold. That would be awesome, candy canes with gold in them. I would eat those. Yeah, that's a cool one. Okay. Yeah, I like that. So we've got a bunch of bulbs that we made. Let me flip over here quickly. And I'm going to move some paints quick. I'm going to put some of these cups upside down. There we go. And let's see what we got. So I'm going to go back to the big camera. Hey, and here is a bunch of the ornaments that we just made. Let me move the blue one so you can see it a little better. Move that over. Just stick it down here. There we go. So these turn out pretty nice. So you can really customize, you know, any colors you want. Notice the silver, white, and gold one. It really kind of ran off of there, and we got a much more subtle looking design. So the blue one kind of kept a lot of its designs happening. I'll turn that one around. That one's pretty cool. This one really got, oops, it's got a lot of paint on it. This one really became much more subtle, so which is interesting. I still like that. I still like that though. And then our first one is kind of cool. I really like our red one that we just did. So they're really fun to do. You can do a bunch of different colors, and then now we have a whole giant pile of paint down here. I just dumped the cups over, and I'll move these out of the way. And now we can do some things with our smaller ornaments, our flatter ones. So let me push this forward a bit, make a little more room. And let me go, I need to get a few more cups, which I have right here. And let me get our ornaments. And I need to get something else quickly. So I'm going to flip the camera, and I'll be back in one second. Actually, I'll just wipe some of this up. I need a place to kind of work. Okay, there we go. So here we have our flat ornaments, and I'll show you how I prep these. This is one that has the film on, oops, sorry. This is the one that has film on both sides. So what I like to do with the ornaments is take a little bit of tape, and something like this, just a little piece of masking tape, and make a little tab. And it's hard as it likes to stick to my gloves, but then stick it on the back. This is now the back side, and it's just stuck right on the plastic film that's already on there. And then the other side, we're going to pull that plastic film off. So I like to just use like a little knife or something, and up by the little hole here for like a hanger is kind of an easier spot to kind of grab one of the edges of the plastic. And if you just get it started, you can just peel it right off. So, and then I don't do anything with the acrylic. I just let it go and just paint right on it. I don't wipe it or anything like that. You could if you wanted to be sure, but I'll just paint right on top. So and then the other thing I like to do is I'll stick it in a little cup like this, and then it can dry in one of these little cups. So it's like a little stand to kind of hold it while it's drying. So let's do a little flip cup on this ornament. And what do I want to do? Let's try a green again. So I'm going to try a little bit of green and maybe a little silver. And I'll put the colors kind of randomly on different sides. Maybe some blue in this one. And maybe some white. And a little more green. So we don't need a lot of paint. This is like probably, that's plenty. So let's give it just a flip. Whoa, careful though. So you could also kind of, put the ornament on top of the cup, which is probably a good idea. There's the bottom of the cup. If you ever wanted to know what the bottom of a flip cup looks like, now is your chance. So, flip it back over, and we'll pull it off. And that doesn't look too exciting, does it? And that is because this is a thicker mixture, like I mentioned at the beginning. And so it's not going to do quite as many cells and things like that, just because it's a little thicker. But we can do some tilting. And having that little tab on the back is nice and helpful. I'm sorry, I'm like totally out of the camera. So we can tilt it around and try to do some interesting things. But yeah, we're not going to get like awesome cells and all that stuff, because we're dealing with, at least this mixture is much thicker, and it's only the Artist Loft pouring medium. So there's no Floetrol in here. So it's not really ideal for cells. You could also create a mixture that, with Floetrol and all that stuff, if you really wanted to get more cells and things. But, so that is kind of like a flip cup, but I'm not loving that one at all. So I will wipe it off maybe. That's another thing we can do. I'm going to just set it back in the cup here. And let's see. And Barbara is asking a great question. And how long do these take to dry? These take usually about 24 hours or so, probably less than that, especially the bulbs, because most of the paint, it's a very thin layer of paint. So they'll take maybe 5-6 hours to dry. So not a really long time. The ornaments where we're pouring on, like this one, or dipping in a minute, those take a little bit longer just because there's a little more paint on there. But they'll also be dry fairly quickly. So 24 hours max, probably, unless it's really cold and rainy or something like that. There's a lot of moisture, or whatever, but they should dry fairly quick. Great question. All right. Let's see here. And let's see. I was going to wipe this one off because I don't love it. So if you don't love it, just wipe her off like that. Maybe we'll do a dip instead. Or a ring pour. Let's try that. We'll also do a ring pour. I can wipe the back off. I've got to slide the camera. I'm like totally out of the camera. There we go. That's better. And another great question from Barbara is, do you have to varnish them or does the paint scratch off? The paint would scratch off. So it is a good idea if you're going to actually use them for decorating and ornaments. I would probably put a varnish on them. And I'll talk about that in a little bit on what I think is going to be a great varnish to use. And we'll give one a try. I have some dry ones and we'll give one of those a shot with some varnish. That's a great question though. And all right, what are we going to do? Let's do a ring pour. Where's my cup of paint? I'll get a new one. So let's try some red again. I like the red. So red, a little bit of gold, maybe some green. How about the green? And then a little more red. That's a lot. That's plenty for, sorry, I was totally out of camera again. Jeez. So that's probably plenty for like this small tiny ornament. Now another thing we could do to make it a little more interesting is if you got some if you have some like smaller little popsicle sticks like this, I like to keep these handy. We can give this a little stir just to create a little more excitement in there. Now let's give it a little ring pour action and see what happens. Let me move it in the camera. How about that? So got a kind of an interesting thing. We can do a little tilt and kind of dump it off. And see, tilt it around, we can end up with something kind of cool. I like that. And it's kind of interesting looking. And let's see. So you can kind of adjust the composition a little bit. That's kind of fun. So the other thing is now we have a little hole. If you give that a little blow, just you can just kind of blow the paint out of the tiny hole. And we've got a cool little ornament. You don't want to keep too much paint on these things. But you could kind of tilt off some of it. And then I wouldn't worry about the back too much because if there's any on the back, when you peel the film off, that extra paint will kind of come off. And so I'll just set that in its little cup holder and set it to the side. And let's try another one. Let's try a dip now. And Navala's got a question. I see Susan's got a question. And Susan is, what about using a straw to blow on it? You could do that for sure. That's a great idea. Let's try that. And this is kind of how I would probably handle that, Susan. So I'd get my little cup and put my little ornament on there. Now we can do kind of like a fake Dutch pour type of thing. So if we put a little white on, let's say, and then tilt the white around, to cover our ornament. You could also dip this too in white. I'm just kind of doing it this way. I'm getting red everywhere. It's a lot. Oh my gosh. And let's see what happens. I'm going to grab my little blowing tool. So we got that covered. It's kind of like, I wish frosting cookies was this easy. And kind of blow the paint out of the little hole there. So I'm going to just set that down. And now we could drizzle on some colors and blow it and see what happens. Let me grab a straw. I got this big crazy lime green straw, so give that a shot. Let's put on some colors. Should we use? Let's try some green. So I want to be kind of minimal with the colors. So a little green, maybe a little gold. I haven't tried this before, so we're all learning together. So, yeah, maybe a little more drizzle of green. It's kind of pretty. So let's see what happens if we blow it. Now this is a thicker mixture, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. Wow. That's actually pretty cool. Who would have thought that? That's awesome. Great idea, Susan. And let me grab something else. So I've made some blowing instruments like this. I use some cake decorating tips and flatten them out. So you have kind of like a flatter, broader stream of air. Let's give that a shot. So I need to work on my blowing, my straw blowing technique, but that's kind of fun. So you could also do some tilting now to kind of expand the design a bit if we wanted to, but that's a great idea. So, and you could also leave more negative space than I did. I kind of all went away, but that's a great idea. So I'll just leave that one alone. Awesome. So gotta be careful. This stuff is really sticky, so it loves to stick to your hands or your gloves. I definitely recommend wearing gloves with using the Artist Loft pouring medium. It is some sticky stuff. I'm gonna dump that upside down. Same with this. Okay, next up, let's do a dip. So I'm going to move some of my paints and I'll bring my little foam thing back. And we've got a crazy puddle right here. Look at that. Let's see, let me move this out of the way. If I can get it out. There we go. So we got this huge puddle of paint here. And so we'll do a little dipping. And we've actually got some very cool designs just from the runoff in our puddle. So let's see. So here we go. Here is one of the round ornaments. So let's do a dip. And I think Novala mentioned, let's see here. Novala wanted a red and green dip. So we got plenty of red and green. And Barbara said I was out of camera on something. Sorry. Oh my gosh. So hopefully it wasn't the blowing of the ornament. I'm not sure. But okay, so here we go. Let's try this one. I'm going to try to get some red and green. And since you can see through the ornaments, it's kind of cool. you can kind of pick your composition very carefully. Now it's not going to look like this on the front. It's going to kind of get mushed together, but let's give it a shot. There we go. And so we got a cool back on our design. Now let's pick it up, let the drips stop, and flip it over quickly. So that's interesting. I don't love this big dark area there. That's not that great. So if we don't like it, we can just wipe it off. Let's just wipe it right on my paper and give it another shot. So let's see. Let's try more of a red and white one. And this one I'm not too crazy about either. Let's flip it over. It's just all red. So that's the problem with dips. They're very unpredictable. So let's try another one. I'll just wipe that off. Okay, let's see. Let's do another one here. We got that very cool area here with a bunch of stuff. I'm going to try to get a green and red one again. So here we go. And flip it over. That one's a little more interesting. Not the greatest one I've ever done or seen, but that's a little more interesting. So, but the dips are fun. We could also, let's see what's under here. Nothing is under that one. So the dips are kind of hit or miss usually, but I'm kind of like this one a bit. So let's see, but let's try it again. I'm going to wipe this one off. I'm liking the wiping off part better than the dipping part. So I'm going to create my own, dip puddle here. So I'll take a little bit of blue and maybe a little gold. A tiny bit of silver. I think that's big enough. So let's see. So we'll just do another one, give it another shot. And I always let the drips kind of stop or slow down before I flip it. And there we go. Now that's a cool dip. That one I like. So I think we'll leave that one. So, but the dips, yeah, the dips are kind of fun. And you can usually re-dip maybe 2 or 3 times before it gets really muddy. But you can always, kind of re-dip again and again. So that is kind of a cool ornament. So let me get another cup here. I'll set that off to the side. So that is our ornaments. Put that in its little holder there. So let's talk about finishing these things. And I'm going to flip back over to the main camera. Again, hello. So that's pretty fun. It's like a fun thing to try out. Like the bulbs are really fun to do. The ornaments are fun to kind of mess around with. You could always, if you wanted to do more of like the flip cup techniques and things like that, thin your paints down more to more of the pouring consistency. These are pretty thick for those types of techniques. But you can thin it down and then you'll get some better, like, more interesting, not necessarily tons of cells, but more interesting designs and stuff. So let me show you what I think would work great for a top coat. And what I think would work great is something called top coat. This is Decor clear pouring top coat. And people have used this for pouring, top coating their acrylic pours. It's a relatively thin-ish coating, like a clear coating, but it's designed to be poured on. So I think this would work pretty good. Let's give it a shot. So I need to switch my gloves because they're completely sticky. And so let's see here. I'm going to flip and see if there's any other questions. And so, thanks for all the great comments. Yeah, these are very fun to do. So it's like a fun, crafty, hobby-ish type of thing. I think it's really fun. So it'd be fun to do with, friends and family and stuff. So I need to get some more gloves right down here. By the way, if you want to know what kind of gloves I use, I love these Night Angel gloves. They're like for tattoo artists and stuff. They're night trial, but they're my favorite. It's from a company called Adina, and they're awesome. They're kind of expensive now. They used to be about, $6 a box. Now they're 20 something bucks a box, which is a lot more money, but I do love them. So, and I reuse them many times as I can, but I'm going to put those on in a second. So let me get one of my bulbs here. So I've got this one. I'm going to put this one on one of our sticks, our skewers, and we'll top coat it and see what happens. So I've not tried that yet. I've made some of these. You could also use like a spray-on finish, like if you went to Home Depot or Lowe's and got some kind of a clear acrylic spray. That would also work really well. And you could just leave them right on your skewers and then kind of spray them outside or somewhere. And I'm sure that would work really, really well. But yeah, these will definitely scratch. The paint will kind of scratch, especially on the glass, I think, if we don't put something on top of them. So we'll give it a shot. So let's see here. Let's see. And Lily is asking, here's a question. Where do I get the flat ornaments? I got these ones on Amazon, but I'm sure you can find them. Novella's just said, Hobby Lobby, 50% off. That's a great idea. So yeah, they're probably around. I'm sure you can find them. I think Michael's, I've seen them at Michael's. I've seen them at, I haven't been to Hobby Lobby in a long time, but Amazon, Hobby Lobby, Amazon's probably your best bet if you don't want to go out and, in the shopping, chaos. So let me do this. I'm going to just take a little bit of my masking tape and put it back on the tip of my bulb here. Just like that. Put my skewer inside and then just kind of crunch the tape down on top of it. Now we're ready to go. So I'm going to just stick that in a hole. And all right. Okay, so I think I'll just leave it on this camera for the moment. Let me put my gloves back on. And I've used top coat before, and I don't love it. It's hard to use. Like if you're pouring it on a painting, I think only smaller paintings were successful for me, just because it runs slowly and tilting, and I did not like it much. So I don't recommend it for putting on your paintings, but I think it's going to work really good for this. And I can't say for sure, but we'll try it out. So and don't shake this up. You don't want air bubbles in it. And so it's on the instructions, it says don't shake it. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in one of our cups. Like that. And let's pour it on there and see what happens. So let's see. Here we go. Yeah, it's going to look, very white. But it will dry clear. So I think that's good enough for hopefully getting around there. Maybe I'll try a little more over here. Okay. So we'll just give that a second. I think it's moving around pretty well. And I'll let you know how it dries, and I'll post a picture of the results if it dries well. If it doesn't dry well, I'll let you know that too. But I think it's going to dry very nicely. This one I've done, I have painted this bulb last week sometime, I think. So it's been dry for a while. So I'm sure it's dry enough. I think I might have to pick it up and give it a little help. So that's one nice thing about the skewers. You can kind of pick it up, and because I'm getting some bare areas. So I need to get all that covered. I got a little left in here. So I'm just going to kind of hit these bare spots. There we go. And then put it back in the, put it back upright, and then it should all kind of, the excess should flow off. And it looks pretty good. I think it's going to work great. So we will find out. But I have high hopes. So I think it would be a great idea for ornaments like these. For paintings, not so much. But for this kind of application, I think it's great. So there we go. All right, so we've got a bunch of ornaments, and they've changed quite a bit. Like I mentioned this one before, it's very subtle now. The green one has gotten more subtle. The blue one looks really cool. Our first one looks very cool. The red one has gotten much more subtle. So they change over time as the paint kind of pours off of them. But if you don't like it, you could always re-pour over them. Like I'd probably let them dry. Oh, that kind of looks pretty cool. That side looks good. I have to kind of wipe some of the paint off. This side over here looked, oh, you can't even see it. So, okay, let me pull that out of there. So let me flip it on the other camera here quickly. I'll show you this one. These things change a lot. So here was like the cool side. If you, hopefully it focuses. But it got like, that's very boring over on that side. And but it's very interesting on this side. So you never quite know what's going to happen with this one. But so that's a kind of a cool one. It's an interesting one. I think this one is my favorite. I really like the green one though, even though it's rather subtle. Let me show you the green one. It's rather subtle. Hopefully that focuses. So it's fairly subtle, but looks pretty good. So I like that one. But you never quite know because they can change a lot. I've tried, let me flip back. One thing I did try was the pre-mixed Artist Loft paints, because I had some sets of those that I've had for a while and used. I don't really love that paint, the pre-mixed Artist Loft stuff, but I did pour using those colors, and I found that it was very difficult to keep the designs. It would just all kind of run and blend together because it's a thinner mixture. So you could give them a try. I've seen other people use them with success. They just didn't work too well for me. But all right. So any questions though? This is a fun kind of demo. And so we did some flat things. We did some round things. Kind of a different demo for me. But it was, I like this one. This is a fun one. So let's see. Thanks for the great comments, everyone. I'm glad you like it. Barbara is hungry for cookies. Me too. Me too. Let's see. Yes, so Nabala likes the green one. I really like the green one. So, and I really like this one a lot. Let me show you this one. This one right here. I'll turn it for you. It's the green one and red one. I think we have green, red, and gold in there. It was kind of a fun one too. I like that combination. Yeah, it kind of looks like planets. Planets are giant like gumballs or lollipops. So, okay. Well, I think unless there's any other questions, I will let you know how this one turns out with the top coat finish on it. I think it's going to turn out really nice, but I'll let you know. And if you want to give these a try, you know, good luck with these. I hope you have fun. They're really fun to do. You know, the end result is kind of secondary, I think. Mostly it's like the mixing the paint, pouring it on, seeing what it does. That's kind of the funnest part. But of course, nice results are always fun too. But thanks so much for watching. And if I will see you again next time. Have a great weekend, everyone. I can't believe it's Friday already. This is a fast week. So have a great weekend. Make some ornaments if you feel the need or the desire to. Post them in the group would be awesome to see what you create. And I will see you again next time. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.